Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, the Thanksgiving break marathon continues with the tiger bark ficus. Welcome everyone into the plant room on the Thanksgiving break holiday week where I get to crank on a whole bunch of trees because I have some extra time off from work. I love school hours. Yeah, we do get a few extra days off than many. So I'm working on the tiger bark over the rock, and so we're just going to clean this up a little bit. We're going to remove a little bit of the sphagnum moss and dirt up high. Roots should be established down lower now. We're not going to raise it up or anything today. We're going to cut a few branches, but I do want to peek at some of the structure here where this root is really clinging on this rock real nice. Now in the back here, you'll notice there's a little bit of dirt that's come off, and so those roots are not going to survive down in the back side of this tree. So we're going to look at that and maybe just cut off a few roots as well. So I'm going to come around front and we'll take a peek at that first and kind of the rock structure, and then we'll do some cutting. Okay, so here we have the back side of this leaning tree, and it's actually a nice look of this rock actually from this side, but you can see that it's not attached to the boulder much beyond this right here. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape this off just a little bit. We're going to kind of see where these roots have gone. I think they're going down, if there's any alive. There we go. This was all muck that we placed on this. You can go look at the playlist for this tree. There's probably just the one video when I set it up originally, so this will be the second video on this playlist. But go check out this tree and how we got it started. Okay, so we're not going to do too much destruction, but I want the water to seep down here and get these roots wet down in this back side as we continue to water this thing in this big box of a planting. Okay, so with a big old bump right here as I was watering, water was just shooting over the side of this thing and probably not going down the rock very well. So you can see right here, we have some roots that have dried up. And I expected some of that to happen. The tree is alive and doing very, very well. And so we're just going to clean this up a little bit. There's no roots right there that are viable. Okay, and you see it's kind of loose right there, so it's going to cling right there, but we've got a big old root right here. Okay, so I'm going to clean some of this off. There we go. This is like an aerial root that went kind of down and around. We'll get this off of here. This looks like it's dried up. It's kind of what's coming around here. Yeah, so roots spread themselves around pretty decently there. And so when we water this, this is one of those things when you're watering your trees, you got to water this more than once. If I just put water on right here, this is just going to all run off. And then when we water a second time, it'll start to seep in more and more. So there's roots down there that have grown. And there's stuff that's alive down there, but we have to be very careful. So this is the big root right there. So I know that's coming from inside the tree somewhere. And that one's alive. That one is not, it's dried up. This is dried up, so we want to make sure we're not wasting energy, and we can kind of see where these things are going. Right there, there was an aerial root possibly. Here's an aerial root right here. That kind of came from up here, and that's still in the soil, so I'm not going to monkey with that one. Some sphagnum moss here. There's the wire we used to tie this thing in. There we go. So we might have some roots that come down here and around this backside of this rock. We have some lighter, thinner roots here. Again, if they come up real nice and loose, they're not attached. We'll cut some of those back. Now this is a smooth kind of face of the rock, so this isn't going to hold on real tight there, but it's really tight over here, and this is going to grab around this rock and this structure in the future better and better. So let's go ahead and give it a little bit of moisture right now. And if I just stop right there and let that soak in, there we go. Runs down the pot. See how fast that runs down the pot? So we want to make sure when we water this, we're going to give it multiple waters down here in the plant room and let this really soak into this soil. And it's really, really dry right now, so it's taking its time. And so a chop to this trunk right here, not much going on right there, but this is taken over as the tree. We'll turn around to the front in a moment. So hopefully these roots right here will continue to circle around these rocks and get a real nice structure. Oh, we got a little bug right there. A little mealy bug or something, a little roly-poly. So hopefully this root will continue to thicken up and be that secure over here. And I see another root right down there. That's this guy right here, probably comes down. So hugging the rock real nice. So we can kind of cut back here over the year and let this slowly kind of just connect to that rock, and maybe we'll get again more roots like this one that's growing now. We got this one, we got this one. We can get maybe another one that comes over here. That'd be fantastic. Looking pretty good. So whenever I water this thing, I let the water run down the rocks multiple times, so we know we're getting roots to the water to the roots of the backside of this tree, which is hard to see from the front, right? And you're going to make a bit of a mess, but you got to make sure that you're getting water everywhere on your tree. So there's that side right there. Now let's come over to the left side as you look from the front, and we're going to kind of tear apart a little bit of this as well. So this was protected. Now here's a root right here, aerial root. We're going to leave that alone. We're not going to break that one, right? Look at that. Okay, so that was an aerial root from this summer's growth. This one is connected as well. Right here by my chopstick, there's a root that goes all the way down here and it goes into the ground. So as I peel away some of the sphagnum moss, I want to be very careful and just expose some of this. And then we'll continue to water this thing and it'll be nice. It won't dry out in the plant room and we'll be in good shape. But some of this is super dry, right? Look at that sphagnum moss underneath that root. And there's the rock. We're touching rock in there, right there. Okay, so just a little bit of separation here of the roots and the sphagnum moss to kind of get this ready for spring next year. So we'll have these roots hopefully thicken up a lot in the plant room over the winter months here, and we'll see what roots have survived. So I'm trying not to break any of those aerial roots. And if there's others that want to cling on later too, they can continue to grow and reach down to that soil. Oop. Yeah, okay, so now I just picked that up right there. And it's a little thicker down below. So let's go ahead and make sure that we dig down in here and reposition this thing back into the soil right here. Okay. So we're going to tuck this in right here. We're going to put this right back here, this dirt, and there we go. We're going to try to stop monkeying here in just a little bit. All right, so if I give this a shot of water, it'll kind of help clean some of it out a little bit. And again, we're going to water this so it soaks down in there. And then hopefully all these roots will continue to thicken up. So the aerial roots will become real thick and like it just really wanted to grow and hug around this rock. And then next summer, if I'm bold enough next summer, I will take this tree and I will dig all of this out of this pot and raise it up just a little bit and make it a little bit shallower in this pot, or raise it up rather. And yeah, we'll see how much these roots have really spread out and clung to the rock. But looking really good right now. Just want to get a little bit more of this sphagnum out of here. Oh, there we go. It's a big section right there. And there's more aerial roots that could continue to form. So there's a couple roots right there. Here's the one that didn't take, but this one right here is clung into the sphagnum. There's some roots right there. So I probably should stop right about there, huh? And we'll see how those aerial roots produce some growth in the coming months in the plant room. So again, I'll shoot that with water, making sure it's getting underneath all the tree. Best place to water this tree is just this direction right here, because the water seeps down underneath all those big roots. And you can see again, it's running down off of the pot, so we have to be very careful. This is not a tree you can quickly water quick and walk away. You've got to make sure you're watering it more than once to get that water to penetrate down below. So a fun section of roots here. Again, we have an aerial root right here, maybe hard to see on camera. We have an aerial root over here that's growing from in there. We'll let all of this stuff thicken up. And then here's this root coming out over here, one down here and one there, and then some little roots in here. Here's another little root that's reaching out. We'll see if that aerial root reaches to the ground. This one right here, it's loose, maybe it'll reach to the ground. This one is connected to the ground, good, and going around. Let's go to the front of the planting now. Okay, so now we're at the top of the tree here, and we've got this beautiful rock, this beautiful root rather, coming down over here and going down this side of the rock. This one's coming down here and it goes in a crack. And I think there's even something down this side if I'm not mistaken. So I'm gonna see if I can gently pull out this rock. I don't know if I can. Oh, sure I can. So that rock is no longer needed. Here's where the rock just came out of, and here's a root right there. Is that a root? Looks like a root. We'll just put that soil back in there right there. We're gonna let that go. I might be able to take this rock out as well. And we're gonna do that. Oh, and look at that. So we can see all of this line of roots right here. This is a line of roots. Oh no, that actually is not roots. That's actually there's a wire right there. That was the raffia that we used to tie it up, and it's almost disintegrated. So again, we'll move this soil down here. We've got some roots up here. We move this soil, yeah, here's some roots right here. So we can cling all these roots down into the soil, push them down with my chopstick, and just kind of moving over this soil so it kind of comes this way. And there's an aerial root right there. That's the one that we buried right over there. So we're going to keep some of these roots on here to see if we can get them to cling more and more to the rock over time. We'll pull this out of the pot again next growing season in the summer. We might give this a repot. Here's one down in here that comes from this crack right here. So we're going to leave those in place and let them continue to thicken up over time. Just get rid of some of this sphagnum moss and bring the soil over here. And these can just kind of tuck right alongside this section of the tree still, but they can just tuck lower and lower. There's a nice root right there. Now see, that root is coming up way over here, but if we just keep placing that down towards the rock, that's going to be where it's going to hopefully get more and more thick in that shape down over there. Make sure all these roots are getting good and moist, and we'll stuff them down a little bit. Again, I'll water the rock the most and let the water just trail down, and where that water goes, that's where the roots are going to be watered the most. This is going to go through to the bottom of the pot, but there we go. We've just showed off a little bit more of the roots on this tree. Nothing major, but enough to show off this root right here. This is going to come down here, and we have a lot of feeder roots. Now, some of these feeder roots aerial roots, like this one right here, that one we can probably just cut off. It came loose right there. It's going up towards the rock. I don't need that one right there. We can cut that off. This one's going up. We'll cut that one off. And we've got some other roots like this guy right here that's viable. Goes all the way down to there, so we'll just leave that alone. There we go. And then all the roots, if there's any sticking up, I'm just going to shove it down with my chopstick right here into the soil so it continues to push out new growth. Look at that root going down right there between this crack. So we got this up here coming this way and down over here. This one coming around this side. Those are going to be the main roots of this tree system. So the back I'm not so worried about. We talk about back here being this edgy side. We got this one curving around. It's just kind of being just a kind of an interesting, fun tree on this rock. So we won't do any more to this one today with the roots. We're just going to keep it watered. And now let's see if we can prune a couple branches on this guy. So we exposed some of the roots, made a little room on the top of this rock, and we'll see how these roots show off in the coming season. All these roots that are arrow roots are reaching down to the soil. That's great. So now we have to make some decisions about this tree up top. Now it's facing way towards us, which is nice, which we have a nice big branch here going up and divides right there, very nice. But look at this new growth right there. Now that new growth is lower than this. This is right next to this tree, but I don't know if I like this plane either, so I'm just going to cut that one off. I don't want that one there. This one's going up more, this one's going down more, so we'll promote that downward growth. I'm actually going to cut this back here for promotion of this part of the branch right here. I'll get rid of that, and I'll get rid of that. And so this can maybe come down here with some wire at some point. We could give this some kind of curve. This could even come off someday. We'll decide. Now the one above it here grew this branch right here. So there's the back budding. Okay, I shifted the camera here a little bit. So I just trimmed this one right here. But then this has a nice back bud in this branch, because you see how there's no taper on this branch? From there to there, it's about chopstick thick, but no taper. And then a cluster up here with a big old, kind of a gnarly, thick, almost reverse taper. But this is a beautiful placement of the branch. Now they fight together here in this one, but if we move this down, these won't fight as much in the future. But right here, look at all this growth right here, and that's just way too much growth. So we're just gonna cut that back, because there's a branch back here So we'll leave these two here now, and we just thinned out this part right here that can maybe give this tree some more reverse taper now, or not reverse taper, but will give us good taper in the future. So I'll cut this going up, and we'll see how that survives. This could also come back to here. Now we have this tree is the main trunk of this tree with a great big wound right here, but it divides into threes, really nice right there. One down here rather. So right, left, and we come up here. Now I don't know if we're going to keep that thick branch, because this branch right here is the real straight part of the tree. It kind of comes up and then a little bit more straight up and going towards the back. But look at this brand new branch in here that subdivides right there, right after. I could cut this branch right down to there. We'd have this nice curve up this way and then this way and then coming back that way. So I am seriously considering, everybody, cutting this entire section off down to that right there, and that could change also the soar. So let's do that right there. Now that soar isn't so much in our face. So let's go back even deeper. And we got that thing a little bit less of an eyesore, a little more off to an angle. And look, there's growth behind it as well back in here. Now there's two. We don't want two. So we're going to cut one off right away. And now here's what we have. We have this branch that's thick trunk, thinner here, and then thinner here, but then we need some thinner up here. So it's nice taper there. But this branch is going to have that movement up here, so we might cut all of that off one day. So I'm not sure what I'm going to keep here. Actually, because I made such a drastic cut, let's go ahead and get rid of this now. There we go. So now we have thick to thinner to thinnest to even thinner than the thinnest, right? And we have this branch kind of in the crack of where those two grow, so I'm just going to get rid of that one. And we like this right here with the subdivision. I'm just going to cut this one a little bit shorter for right now. Let's actually go so it grows to the left. But you see how we go from here to this and it splits into two right here? That's a beautiful early split, and we'll see if those two survive and we can trim that off later. So that was a pretty bold decision, everybody. Big thick cut right there. I can put a little cut paste on there. There's not much bugs down in the plant room yet, but we can keep moisture from getting in there, so I can put some cut paste. Now the other part of this tree is this is coming out right off the front. We just don't want that off the front. So now we can see our path. This is growing between these two branches, kind of by where the cut was before. That's kind of a weird spot right in the middle. I want this to continue to flow from right to left and then go back up, so I'm going to leave that alone. But then we have this whole part of the tree in the back. What do we keep of that tree, or that branch rather? These are looking really nice, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to shorten this up down to here. We're going to shorten this to here. We're going to shorten this one, I think, as well. Just everything shorter, get those tips off of here, and we'll see what kind of growth we get. We'll cut this one shorter in front, and there we go. So I like this branch right here. We're going to cut off this big thick leaf right here. We've got three branches real close to each other, so let's go ahead and cut this one off right there. And now we have kind of a right, left, right. There's a little leaf back here we don't need, and there's a leaf in the back, but we'll leave it for now. So that's forming into a nice branch right there. We still have a decent scar there, but that will heal in a few more years. This one will take a lot longer. And then we have the back of the tree, which when you're looking at it from the front, basically, we can kind of see it going over there, but it does cross all of this now. So if we keep all of this, do I keep this to move to the left? And even if I do keep it, again, we're getting real thick up here. Let's go ahead and cut off some of that. And let's cut off the bottom one going back and down. And we just have a couple of branches here that we'll see if we keep. We can cut this leaf off right here. We can cut this leaf right here because that is a bar branch. We'll see if we keep any of those. And there's one in the back here too by my fingers there. You see that? And so this might be usable. And back here, this might be usable, but we're going to go ahead and cut this off right here. That's too thick up there. We've got all kinds of growth up there with 3 or 4 branches. Let's just cut this front one off. These are bar branches. Let's get rid of this one. So now that could be viable. That could be viable. Get rid of that branch here. Then we got this tall one right here. Let's go ahead and cut that back even down to here. And then we have this big leaf, so we can get rid of the leaf. And we have a leaf down here and a leaf there. And we'll see what we're going to do with this in the end and what we'll keep later, because of how we just made that big change on this tree. So if we have to, maybe we have to bend this over this way to see this branch structure a little bit better. If I cut this off right now, we have the natural progression of that branch in the back. So now it's super cleaned up for the plant room, right? So we're gonna let this thing take off and get a whole bunch of more roots. We didn't touch the roots except for a couple of aerial roots. And so we've exposed some more of the roots on the surface up here, but we're gonna water really good always to get that down below there, really, really nice and watered on this big tree, and we'll repot it next year. Well, there we have the tiger bark ficus root over boulder. You can check out again the first iteration of this when we put it on the boulder last time this year. I think this time last year, about a year ago. And then we had it outside all summer long and didn't do hardly anything to it. And now we just gave it a real big prune for the plant room to set it up for some nice root growth, aerial roots hopefully, and we'll get this thing continually being stuck to this rock and see where it goes. We could even get rid of this root someday, so it just clings on with this stuff right here and the stuff on your right side over here. But for right now, we got to let all this grow and see how it stays alive. And we won't be able to make those decisions until we lift the rock out of this pot and get it into its next phase where we see more roots. Nice, thick, thinner, thinnest. There, taper, everybody. A decent explanation of taper right there. Real thick, a little bit thinner, and thinnest. We're going to keep those things moving and see what we can accomplish over the next year or 2 or 3 or, well, forever, if I keep the tree that long. All right. Well, the Thanksgiving marathon continues. I have a couple extra days off, of course, because it's the holiday season, so I'm just cranking away at trees, and I'm loving every minute of it. I'm in my heaven right now. So we got more videos to make. So until the next one, as always, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll catch you very soon on the next one.